Welcome to the Growth Series by Innovation Factory. Here we dive into the journeys of startups, entrepreneurs, and innovators, sharing their challenges, wins, and everything in between. Tune in as we hear from founders who've secured investment, scaled their businesses, and made game-changing exits. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take that next big step, we're here to inspire and guide you on your path to success. Today you're listening to...
My name is Margaret Coons, and I am the founder and CEO at Nuts for Cheese. I have been vegetarian since about the age of 12 and vegan since about the age of 19. And while I was doing my undergrad at Western University, I actually took a job at a vegan restaurant working as a line cook. So really kind of honed my passion for food and creating different, kind of culinary dishes and sharing them with lots of people. So I started with a farmer's market in 2015 with these cheeses that I've been making at the restaurant, and started renting the restaurant kitchen in the middle of the night to make these products, taking them to the farmer's market the next day. And from there we slowly started expanding into retail, really store by store, from one independent retailer to another, until we started to scale more nationally in Canada and the US. I've always loved food, and from a young age I really loved animals as well. So I actually happened upon a PETA video around the age of 12 that was very impactful for me, and decided, kind of right then and there, I was a vegetarian, and I was not from a vegetarian household, so I was the only person following a plant-based diet in my family, and also because of that started to learn how to cook from a pretty young age, and wanted to be able to prepare something that was an alternative to what the family was eating, and really fell in love with cooking and with vegetables and with food and preparing different things. So I kind of always knew that I wanted my career to be in food, and just wasn't totally sure how it was going to transform. When I first started the company, there really wasn't a ton available on the market in terms of high quality, dairy-free, vegan products, and I'd eaten my body weight in shreds and slices and really processed vegan foods that had been more commercially available. And so we were really the first to market in Canada with a premium, high quality, dairy-free cheese made from cashews that was certified organic, that was fermented, that didn't use any stabilizers or gums or fillers. And so really that was a huge priority for me, because I was a chef prior to starting the company. Wanted to have a product that had a lot of integrity and was made with high quality ingredients. Our biggest differentiating factor is really our quality. It's the quality and the flavor is kind of what we always come back to. Is people will try an alternative, but they won't return to it if it doesn't taste good. And there's been so many products that have been really widely available that are easier to produce, but they're lower quality, typically made with starches and gums. And for us, it's always been whole food ingredients, and wanting to really create a viable alternative for dairy cheese and a plant-based format. So in 2015, we started at the farmer's market in London, Ontario, actually. So I'm from Hamilton originally. I went to Western to do my undergrad in English language and literature, and through just being in London and taking a job at the restaurant there, I started doing the farmer's market in London. And from there, we started getting requests pretty much immediately from local restaurants and retailers. So I was actually producing cheese in the restaurant I was renting in the middle of the night. And then from there, I started driving to Toronto 2 or 3 days a week to deliver cheese to our 11 to 15 retail partners that we have between London, Hamilton, and Toronto. And so I would do that during the day, race back to London, work at the restaurant cooking dinner at night, rent the restaurant in the middle of the night to make the product. And it was really quite a grind for the first year. And after year one, I quit my restaurant job. The restaurant was actually closing at the time, and my original dream was to be a restaurateur, and I thought maybe I'd take it over. Maybe I would start a vegan restaurant of my own. And I think the kind of entrepreneurial drive was always in my blood, because I was attending, how to own your own restaurant seminars, trying to kind of build my knowledge base. But from there, we got a certified kitchen space at the farmer's market. So I had 8 by 10 roughly room that I filled with fridges and tables and blenders, and hired a couple family friends to help me package cheese for the farmer's market. And out of that really small space, we were selling to about 25 restaurants and retailers and doing the market on weekends. And then we got our first ever production space, which is about 1,000 square feet in the south end of London. And we were there for about a year, and then we outgrew it. We were running a night shift there to package the product simply just because we didn't have enough room. We grew to about 300 stores carrying the product at that point. We were able to stay there until 2017 in December. We took the first unit of the facility where we are now, and it was about 6,000 square feet, so we 6x'd our space. And we were there for about a year until the unit next door became available. We took it, knocked down the walls. Year after that, unit next to that became available. We took it, knocked down the walls. And just actually January of this year, we took on the last unit in the space. So we now have the full building and about 25,000 square feet that we're occupying. I bootstrapped the company for the first 7.5 years that it existed. And it's obviously challenging to bootstrap and scale a manufacturing company without funding, but somehow we were able to grow into, over 2,000 doors in Canada. And by the time we'd raised funding, we were in about 1,000 stores in the US as well. And I actually connected with an advisor who helped me through the process of our first capital raise. And so we pitched to a number of groups in Canada and one in the US actually to kind of seek interest on our investment journey, and we ended up raising about $5.5 million, and that closed in June of 2022. And that's been a game changer for the company. It's allowed us to put a board of directors in place. We're now an institutionally backed company with an amazing venture group backing us, and I've been able to hire a full senior leadership team and purchase a bunch of equipment for CapEx and for new innovation launches, and really invest heavily in marketing as well. So it's been incredible. I think it's still really a new product and quite a novelty for a lot of people to have a premium plant-based cheese. But I think because so many people are not just vegan, but they're also lactose intolerant, there's a huge market there for people that actually need this type of product. In terms of plant-based meats, it's a lot of people don't have an allergy to meat. So if it's not a high-quality product or it doesn't taste good, they may just eat a high-quality meat product. But for dairy, people don't have that same choice a lot of the time. So for us, there's been a huge consumer education piece, not only about segmenting ourselves in the market between those more conventionally available, cheaper, lower quality products, and then the premium segment of the category where we really see ourselves playing and being a category leader in Canada and the US. So for us, it's really been about getting the information out there about why premium, why plant-based, why high quality, why cashews, for example. And then I think there's a huge opportunity for us because we haven't done a lot of marketing until this past year. We just hired our first internal marketing team actually starting last June. And so the number of people that just don't know we exist is massive, and I think that actually provides us a really huge opportunity in the years to come. I grew up in Ancaster, just up the hill from Innovation Factory, and I've been very, closely knit to the Hamilton entrepreneurial community for some time. But I had a mentor that was actually working out of the Burlington Economic Development Center there, and I went and did some strategic planning with some support from him and the team. And there was this amazing woman who was working at the BEDC at the time, and she said, "You need to connect with the folks at Innovation Factory because it's right up your alley. It's going to be such a good fit for you. They're so supportive for CPG and people working in food." And having been from the Hamilton area and having these kind of ties to the center here, as well as these recommendations from others that I was getting mentorship and advice from, I ended up reaching out and I think just coming for an introductory meeting, and that's when I learned about the Lions Lair pitch competition, which was super pivotal for us and for the company in the early days. The Lions Lair pitch competition was very nerve-wracking for me. It was the first time I'd ever pitched the company. I hadn't written a business plan at that point. We were about a year in. I wasn't incorporated. I didn't really have any firm strategic vision. I just started to put a strat house together with the help of some mentors and advisors. And I came here, and the Lions Lair competition was actually hugely pivotal for the structure of the company in those early days because it forced me to put the business plan together, forced me to think about how I talked about the company, all the different segments of the business, what was going to be important to us going forward, and also to really formulate a list of asks of what would I do if I won, and where would I spend the money, what would I spend it on, who would be the best resources for me to connect with. And I think it was the first time that I'd really framed it up that way. And I remember at the time, I think we were, selling several hundred wedges of cheese a month. It was a really, really small business. A lot of those kind of things that I talked about in those early days of that, product founder fit, why it was so important for me that I was creating this type of product and wanting to share it, I think really kind of helped me hone in on what the market opportunity was. I think it made me focus. It made me, kind of get serious about what I was doing. And at the beginning of the competition, kind of walking into the room of hopeful applicants and people that were, there to apply and hopefully make it through the elimination rounds and eventually to the final competition. There were so many people that were so sure of themselves. And I think, I kind of had some imposter syndrome at the time of, being in a room of people saying, I'm the CEO of this company, I'm the CTO of this company. And I was like, oh, yeah, I make cheese. And, I was really hesitant to kind of own what I was doing, and it gave me a lot more confidence and ability to articulate about what the vision and mission and values of what I was trying to build were. The support was incredible, and outside of the Lion's Lair experience, connecting with folks was an incredible resource for me, having had so much experience at Sara Lee and then CPG in general. It's grocery is a whole other language, and it's CPG in general is so many acronyms, so many things to learn, that I think it was really important for me to have those connections early on and also be surrounded by peers that were doing something similar and trying to create something out of nothing. It's a unique experience, and Innovation Factory definitely brings people together that are trying something big. My cohort from Lion's Lair actually was pretty tight, and I made a lot of really good friends out of that group, people that I still keep in touch with to this day and love seeing what they're up to on LinkedIn and social media. And I still keep in touch with Dave as well, Dave Carter, and the executive in residence program here was hugely impactful for me in finding and developing my advisory and mentorship relationships. I think 2023 is going to be a huge year for Nuts for Cheese, and it's only January, but so much has happened already this year. As I mentioned, we took on the final unit in our building that's given us increased warehouse space. It's given us some executive offices, which is really, really nice. We've already connected the units so that we can have easy flow through of ingredients right through to production out to shipping. We're actually going to be, we have a vertically integrated manufacturing, so we do all of our own manufacturing. We have actually a team of 37 full-time employees now, and about half of those people are working, actually making the product, packaging it, working in quality control or sanitation, and shipping and receiving. So really tight-knit group at the plant that are working to create the best product that they can. But in order to support them as we grow, we're actually going to do a plant flip to really reorganize the places that we have equipment, set ourselves up for more efficiencies and optimization of the production process. We're working towards our BRC certification right now, so that's Global Food Safety Certification for folks that aren't familiar. It's kind of the gold standard of food safety, so it's been a full company process for us to really get everyone from senior leadership right down to everyone who's working on the shop floor every day really involved in the process and working closely together to achieve that certification designation. So those are some of the big things. We've added a bunch of people to our team in January already, and now we're kind of whole and ready to launch off into a bunch of projects this year. I still do, yeah, all of the product development, R&D, all of our shred claim. Product development and innovation has always been a huge passion of mine, and I think that product founder fit for me is that these are products that I actually eat every day. This morning before I came here, I had a bagel with nuts for cream cheese on it. So I truly do eat the product all the time, and I want to be able to make sure that the integrity and the vision is still there in all new products that we're launching. Quality, as I mentioned, is number one for us, so we're never going to create a low quality, cheap product. It's always going to have good ingredients. It's always going to be certified organic. It's always going to be fermented, and we make our own cultures in house as well. So that's kind of the fun, creative space that I love to play in. It's been an interesting number of years for a few reasons. I think COVID certainly being one of them, and the current state of the economy being another. And for us, it's we really took the opportunity to kind of slow down, huddle, make our strategy as a group, and then execute from there. So we started, calling every single natural grocers, every single NCG co-op store in the US, targeting kind of store by store across the country, and really built our distribution out, opening warehouse by warehouse across the US. And really that growth in the States over the number of years that COVID was really inhibiting people's travel and ability to do business in different markets, helped us stabilize the business, because with all of the lockdowns and different events happening in Canada, the spikes in sales were really unpredictable, and sometimes we would experience like massive overbuying, and then it would slow down for a period of time. So having that US business actually really helped us kind of bolster our growth and keep our kind of cool and strength as we went through those years. And being a food manufacturer, we're an essential business, so we never had to shut down, and we're able to continue to produce really high quality food for people, which I think is really important in a time where a lot of people are sick, is to have access to healthy and delicious food options. I've always been I've been trying to have an advisor who reframes the word busy as full. So I've always been a person who's enjoyed a very full schedule, I'll say. I've, since the age of 16, I've worked full time. Even all through, my undergrad, I was teaching yoga, working full time, and completing my undergrad when I was starting to have these visions of starting a company. So I'm no stranger to kind of running and gunning, but I think my role has changed a lot pretty much every 6 months since I started the company, and continues to evolve. But having that transition from owner-operator to building the team to, really having your hands in everything in the day-to-day, it's hard to let it go, because it feels really, satisfying to be involved in every little thing that's happening. But I'm so fortunate to have a team that I really, truly trust, and have, built over time, that I can step away and do a podcast or go to a trade show, and I don't have to, worry about what's going on at the facility anymore. I think some of the things that I would tell people about, having imposter syndrome, or wondering if they can actually, achieve something or build something, or if there's, space for what they're thinking to create, is a lot of the same things that I would need to tell myself, is that, anything is possible. You can create something new and exciting, and there's space for it. I think a lot of people have an idea and they think, the category's too saturated, or someone else is doing that. But I think there's always an opportunity to do it better. And I think there is, a full body, full life, full soul commitment to starting a business. And I think it's something that becomes like what you eat, sleep, and breathe. And for the first couple of years, you kind of wake up and want to check your email in your sleep, and you have to be prepared for that. But I think that there's endless opportunity, and that's kind of how I think about competition as well. Is this is such a fast developing space, and there's so much more demand for plant-based products and quality plant-based products. There's been so many new companies pop up since we started, but we're really growing a category together, and we need other people doing a really good job at something similar to what we're doing, just to build brand awareness, because otherwise it becomes such a niche category, and you don't want to be the only one doing something. I think the growth is definitely there over the next number of years. I think from an environmental standpoint, we don't have much option but to embrace more plant-based food choices. There's, a lot of climate realities related to, animal agriculture and the way that food is being produced today. So I think that there's not only a huge opportunity for plant-based businesses, but it's also like a critical necessity. From an animal standpoint, I think people are more connected to what they're eating and how they feel about the things that are on their plate. And people are also a lot more focused on how the foods they eat make them feel. And so I think for us, the growth consumer really is the flexitarian, because the number, I heard just the other day that the percentage of people that are identifying as vegan and vegetarian, that number hasn't shifted that much in the last number of years, but the demand for plant-based products has dramatically increased.
Thanks for tuning into the Growth Series. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and stay inspired. Until next time, keep innovating.